Hello everyone. As a coach, I constantly advocate for growth and improvement. Every time my athletes step onto the competition floor or into my gym, I want them to push themselves to get better. And I want them to set challenging objectives for themselves. We help the athletes by evaluating these objectives. Nowadays, often youth teams even have access to stats and game film. And I've even seen teams use technology like radar guns and live video feedback to help their athletes grow and improve. But what is interesting is that on the other hand, the performance of the coach is not very often measured and evaluated. The only real way a coach is evaluated is through the performance of his or her team. So today I want to take a bit of a look at what does a coach do during a competition? What does a coach tell his or her athletes? And I want to demonstrate a simple but objective measurement of this coaching behavior so that hopefully people will be able to use it and practice what they preach to constantly keep improving. Unfortunately, there's no definitive answer to the question, what should a coach say to help athletes perform optimally? This relies on a lot of factors, such as the characteristics of the athletes and the coach, the relationship between the athletes and the coach, but also things like what kind of sport is it, what is at stake at the current match, or even smaller things like how much noise is there in the gym. There's many theories that talk about how to give feedback. For instance, there's the sandwich method that says that you should bundle a feedback with two positive things. There is a theory that says that the ratio between positive encouragement and feedback should be around 5:1. I am not sure which of these theories is completely correct, but it's fair to say that generally a coach wants to engage in more positive feedback and positive ways to help their athletes in order to keep their mindset ready and motivated to perform. However, there's a general issue that needs to be addressed before each coach can look at their particular factors that play into communicating with their athletes. Coaches are often unaware of what they say during a match. And this is understandable since coaches are in charge of many things at the same time during a match. They have to do lineups, tactics, they have to take into account the safety of the athletes, the people on the bench, and sometimes even have to deal with technological things like stats and video. And all of this has to be done with a time constraint. A coach doesn't have time to think and really reflect about what he or she is going to do. Feedback is the best given immediately without any delay. So a coach has to react very quickly to what is happening on and off the court. On top of that, not a lot of people know exactly how to measure coaching behavior in an objective way. So in order to demonstrate that, I recorded myself while I was coaching, and I will use those recordings to analyze what I say to my athletes. A simple way of measuring coaching behavior is through the use of the Coaching Behavior Assessment System, or CBAS. According to the CBAS, coaching behavior can either be reactive, which means that it directly reacts to something that just happened in a match, or it can be spontaneous. On top of that, according to this measurement tool, there's 12 different types of behaviors. But to keep it a bit more simple, they're classified in 3 dimensions of behaviors. So behavior can either be supportive.
There we go. Hey, let's go. Let's use that. Let's use it.
Or a coach can give instruction.
Take your time. Right? Take a breath before you go.
And lastly, behavior can be negative.
Come on.
The actual measurement of the behavior is fairly simple. You count how often a coach engaged in the different types of behavior. At the end, you sum up all these numbers and you plot them to give a visual reference of what an individual coach's behavior looks like. In the next section, I will show you the results I got from my recordings. To keep it as simple as possible, I only classified behaviors in either one of the 3 dimensions. So behavior in my measurement was either positive, instructive, or negative. I collected data over 2 different matches. One of the matches resulted in a win, and one of the matches resulted in a loss. If you look at my coaching behavior, you can see that I engaged in negative coaching behavior a total of 19 times. On the other hand, I engaged in instruction behavior a total of 45 times. And lastly, I engaged in supportive behavior a total of 175 times. This makes the ratio of supportive behavior to negative behavior more than 9-to-1 in my case. The interesting thing about analyzing coaching behavior in this way is that you can get both quantitative and qualitative feedback on your behavior. After I coded and analyzed my behavior, I went back and listened to the recordings. What I realized is that I engaged in supportive behavior a lot. As I mentioned earlier, the ratio between negative and supportive behavior was over 9-to-1. But I also realized that a lot of these supportive statements were fairly general and not necessarily directed to anyone or any particular event. So for me, what I take out of this is that I might want to try to engage in less supportive behavior, but make the supportive things I say more personal and apply to the current situation. That way, I hope that what I tell my athletes will have a bigger impact on them and will really help them to feel motivated and ready to take on the challenge. After doing this myself, I highly encourage anyone who is in a coaching or leadership position to try and analyze how and what they communicate. Recording yourself while doing this is very simple. You can attach the microphone that comes on almost every earbud with a clip to your collar and record what you do on a phone. It has given me a new insight in what I do and how I coach. And I hope that if you try this yourself, you will have the same experience. If you have any questions on how to code the behavior or other things that you might be wondering on how I went through this process, please feel free to reach out to me. Also, if you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel so you can get updates on every single new video I bring out.